Well, I have, but not currently, I said. My last novel, A Season for Ashes, had been about an university professor who joins a clan of gypsies after he finds his wife in bed with one of his students. It wasn't a bad book. Some reviewers had called it a good book, and one had even used the word riveting. But suddenly I was embarrassed by it. I hoped Wahid wouldn't ask what it was about. Maybe you should write about Afghanistan again, Wahid, Wahid said. Tell the rest of the world what the Taliban are doing to our country. Well, I'm not quite that kind of writer. Oh, Wahid said, nodding and blushing a bit. You know best, of course. It's not for me to suggest. Just then, Mariam and the other woman came into the room with a pair of cups and a teapot on a small platter. I stood up in respect, pressed my hand on my chest, and bowed my head. Salam alaikum, I said. The woman, who had now wrapped her hijab to conceal her lower face, bowed her head too. Salam, she replied in a barely audible voice. We never made eye contact. She poured the tea while I stood. The woman placed the steaming cup of tea before me and exited the room, her bare feet making no sound at all as she disappeared. I sat down and sipped the strong black tea. Wahid finally broke the uneasy silence that followed. So what brings you back to Afghanistan? What brings them all back to Afghanistan, dear brother? Farid said, speaking to Wahid but fixing me with a contemptuous gaze. Bas, Wahid snapped. It's always the same thing, Farid said. Sell this land, sell that house, collect the money, and run away like a mouse. Go back to America, spend the money on a family vacation to Mexico. Farid, Wahid roared. His children and even Farid flinched. Have you forgotten your manners? This is my house. Amir Aga is my guest tonight, and I will not allow you to dishonor me like this. Farid opened his mouth, almost said something, reconsidered, and said nothing. He slumped against the wall, muttered something under his breath, and crossed his mutilated foot over the good one. His accusing eyes never left me. Forgive us, Amir Aga, Wahid said. Since childhood, my brother's mouth has been 2 steps ahead of his head. It's my fault, really, I said, trying to smile under Farid's intense gaze. I am not offended. I should have explained to him my business here in Afghanistan. I am not here to sell property. I'm going to Kabul to find a boy. A boy, Wahid repeated. Yes. I fished the Polaroid from the pocket of my shirt. Seeing Hassan's picture again tore the fresh scab of his death. I had to turn my eyes away from it. I handed it to Wahid. He studied the photo, looked from me to the photo and back again. This boy? I nodded. This Hazara boy? Yes. What does he mean to you? His father meant a lot to me. He's the man in the photo. He's dead now. Wahid blinked. He was a friend of yours? My instinct was to say yes, as if, on some deep level, I too wanted to protect Baba's secret. But there had been enough lies already. He was my half-brother. I swallowed. My illegitimate half-brother. I turned the teacup, toyed with the handle. I didn't mean to pry. You are not prying, I said. What will you do with him? Take it back to Peshawar. There are people there who will take care of him. Wahid handed the photo back and rested his thick hand on my shoulder. You are an honorable man, Amir Aga, a true Afghan. I cringed inside. I am proud to have you in our home tonight, Wahid said. I thanked him and changed a glance over to Farid. He was looking down now, playing with the frayed edge of the straw mat. A short while later, Mariam and her mother brought 2 steaming bowls of vegetable showa and 2 loaves of bread. I'm sorry we can't offer you meat, Wahid said. Only a Taliban can afford meat now. This looks wonderful, I said. It did too. I offered some to him, to the kids, but Wahid said the family had eaten before we arrived. Farid and I rolled up our sleeves, dipped our bread in the shower, and ate with our hands. As I ate, I noticed Wahid's boys, all three thin with their caked faces and short cropped brown hair under their skull caps, stealing furtive glances at my digital wristwatch. The youngest whispered something in his brother's ear. The brother nodded, didn't take his eyes off my watch. The oldest of the boys, I guess his age was at about 12, rocked back and forth, his gaze glued to my wrists. After dinner, after I had washed my hands with the water my aunt poured from a clay pot, I asked for Wahid's permission to give his boys a hadiyah, a gift. He said no, but when I insisted, he reluctantly agreed. I unsnapped the wristwatch and gave it to the youngest of the three boys. He muttered as sheepish Tashakor. It tells you the time in any city in the world, I told him. The boys nodded politely, passing the watch between them, taking turns trying it on. But they lost interest and soon the watch sat abandoned on the straw mat.